Welcome, dear friends. It's so nice to see all my friendly faces and some new ones. Welcome to our spiritual home, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. We're glad to have you with us today. My name is Judy Pickett. I am on the Board of Trustees. I'm the treasurer. I'm your friendly pledge campaign person, so if you don't turn your form in, you're going to get a call from me or one of my minions. So we are a church of many welcomes, and we welcome you all here, a very warm welcome. This is a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. As such, ours is a very active church, and everyone is invited to participate in all of our activities, whether you're a member or not. And if you're interested in any of our church calendar items, please see us after church or go to our website, uutarpon.org. Our children are with us during the first part of the service at this time, and we have faith formation programming following. And Jami Cruz is our gifted leader, and she shepherds the children out every day to class. For those present with us in the building, we have connection cards. If you're a visitor and want to know more about us, and we want to know more about you. So fill this out and put it in the basket as it goes around later this morning. We also have another small card. Following the service, we share our joys and concerns. And if you have anything you want to share, fill it out, put it in the basket, and it will be read from up here. Otherwise, you can come up to the mic when we set it up later. We're delighted to have Reverend Kristina leading the service today. Music is provided by our director, Bonnie Whitehurst, and our special guest today is Ann Rohde. Again, welcome all.
Our opening hymn is in your gray hymnal, number 407. 407. We're going to sit at the welcome table.
We're going to sit at the welcome table. We're going to sit at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're going to sit at the welcome table. Going to sit at the welcome table one of these days. With all kinds of people around that table, all kinds of people around that table one of these days, hallelujah. All kinds of people around that table, gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style at the welcome table, no fancy style at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table, gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days.
When we introduce ourselves, it is helpful for those with vision loss and others to say some things about ourselves. So I am the Reverend Kristina Spaude. I use she, her pronouns, and am a white woman. I have chin-length curly brown hair, parted on one side, with blue eyes. And here at the church, we want to recognize that we are on the lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole peoples. Our opening words this morning come from Teresa Ninan Soto. This is "We Hold Hope Close." In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a north star and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Come, let us worship together.
You spoiled my moment. I have one of these at home and I love it. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together.
Hymn number 123 in your gray book. 1, 2, 3, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots boldly throws, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
This is for some the best day of the year. It is with great gladness that we set aside the time this morning to formally celebrate our newest members. They have all joined in the last 12 months. It is truly a joy to welcome all of you today, to recognize that you are a part of this congregation. It is especially true with this pandemic, where not everyone knows everyone else anymore, with all the various ways we have been making connections with each other during this time. It is good to take a moment and say, welcome. It is good to have a moment where you are affirmed in your membership and where the congregation can see itself so that you may all know that you belong to each other. So I will call each of you up to the front where we will offer you a rose, often seen as a symbol of love and affection. A beloved misattributed quote goes, "We need not think alike to love alike," and it is in that spirit that you have joined us. And so it is our covenants that bind us together. As the Unitarian minister, the Reverend James Villa Blake, wrote in 1894, "Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another." With the rose, we will also offer a copy of the most recent edition of the Unitarian Universalist Pocket Guide, which offers reflections from a number of folks from our faith, some of whom I am grateful to call friend, and all of whom are colleagues and siblings in faith. As I call your name, please come up to the front to receive your gifts and our gratitude. Carol Baker. Laura Rodriguez and Luna. Barbara Quayle. Tony and Patty Leisner. Linda Fackelday. Brian Heath. Carol Bilsma. And Starfire Lewis and Griffin Kane. Hopefully everyone has a copy of the words. It is a joy to welcome each of you as a member into our community. Becoming a member of this congregation is an important act, but it is only one part of your spiritual journey. We encourage you to grow your religious life and to explore and share your unique gifts. Will you journey together with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership and covenant with us? If you agree, please say yes. Yes. Members of the congregation, will you reach out to these people in friendship, including them in your activities and fellowship? Will you participate with them on their spiritual journeys and religious journeys and invite them into yours? Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Will you join with them in covenant, extending the faith of this congregation? Yes. We join our strengths, talents, and commitment with yours. You are part of us, and we are part of you. Ours is a shared ministry to help each other find meaning in life and to build a just and compassionate life and world, working to fulfill the vision and mission of this congregation. Welcome.
Yeah. This way.
You can, yeah.
Or anyway.
Our story today is The Mermaid and the Shoe, written and illustrated by K.G. Campbell. King Neptune had 50 daughters. Some might call them mermaids. They were his pride and joy. Cleo, the king would boast, is a gifted gardener. Thetis is a fantastic fish trainer. Calypso sings with silvery moonlight in her voice. Each princess, it seemed, was more remarkable than the last, except Minnow. Minnow's garden was limp and sparse. Fish did not follow her instructions. In her voice, there was no light of any kind. She did, however, ask many, many questions. Why, she asked Cleo, don't crabs have fins? Where, she asked Thetis, do bubbles go? What, she asked Calypso, lies beyond the kingdom? Stop asking these useless questions, Calypso replied, and be remarkable, like the rest of us. What are you even here for? Minnow wasn't sure. Useless, hissed Calypso, for sisters can be mean that way. And quietly, Minnow slipped away to float alone where the current was warm and pleasant. There, one day, something new drifted into Minnow's life. She couldn't imagine what it was for, but it was the loveliest thing she'd ever seen. What is this? Minnow asked Cleo. Perhaps, said her sister, it's a hat. But the thing was a poor fit and not at all flattering. What is this? She asked Thetis. Perhaps, said her sister, it's a jewel box. But the thing was wobbly and spilled pearls all over Minnow's grotto. What is this? She asked Calypso. Questions, questions, snapped her sister. It's junk, useless, like you. This thing, insisted Minnow, was made with care. It has a purpose, and I will discover it. And so off she set into the warm current from whence the thing had come. In the forest, she passed an octopus. What is this? She asked it, but the octopus shrugged. In the shallows, she happened upon a whale. What is this? She asked it. I swallowed one of those once, said the whale. Yuck. Near the surface, she passed some crabs. What is this? She asked them. Don't eat us, shrieked the startled crabs, scuttling onto the rocky shore. Aha, thought Minnow, who wasn't even hungry. That's why they don't have fins. But she was running out of creatures to question. She had arrived at the edge of the kingdom where bubbles burst and the above place began. What a wondrous world, gasped Minnow, eyes wide as sand dollars. Overhead were curious fish that made an awful racket. The coral was dull like seaweed, and the seaweed was brilliant like coral. Nearby was a huge shell with a door. But There was nothing like the lovely thing, and no one to tell her what it was for. Minnow could journey no farther. Disappointed, she turned to leave. "I'm afraid," she told the thing. "We are useless after all." Suddenly, an odd creature burst forth from the shell. It was half mermaid, but with 2 octopus legs. And on those legs was a pair of the lovely things. "Don't get your shoes wet," yelled a voice from the door. So the landmaid removed them, and Minnow finally knew exactly what the lovely things were for. Concealed within was another set of hands. "But so ugly," she gasped, "so knobby and gnarled and smelly." Bursting with news, Minnow returned home as fast as her tail could carry her. Excitedly, she urged the entire court to gather round to listen. She told them why crabs don't have fins. She told them of the place beyond the kingdom where the bubbles went. She told them of the noisy fish and the giant shell homes. She told them of the landmaid and of the shoes and of the monstrous leg hands that they were made to hide. When she was done, Calypso rolled her eyes. "What?" she scoffed. "A useless story." But King Neptune beamed and hugged his smallest child. "My Minnow," he boasted to the entire kingdom, "is a daring explorer." And everyone, except Calypso, clapped their hands, fins, and tentacles in agreement. "Will you tell us more?" they cried. "That," said Minnow, "is what I'm here for." And she recounted her adventures until the starfish came out and the anemones fell asleep. We will sing our children to their programming. Song number 413 in the gray hymnal.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the light of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
This is the time when we take our offering for the work and welfare of this church. Ours is a free faith which must sustain itself financially. You may go to the website uutarpon.org and click on the donate button, or you may mail your offering to the church at 57 Reed Street, Tarpon Springs, 34689. For those of you with us in person in the sanctuary, place your offering in the plates as they are passed. And thank you.
I awoke today and found the frost perched on the town. It hovered in a frozen sky, and it gobbled summer down. When the sky turned straight to cold, and all the trees are shivering in a naked row, I get the urge for I never seem to go. I get the urge for going when meadow grass is turning brown and summertime is falling down and winter's closing in. I had me a man in summertime. He had summer-colored skin and not another girl in town my darling's heart could win. But when the leaves fell on the ground and bully winds pushed them face down in the snow, he got the urge for going, and I had to let him go. He got the urge for going when meadow grass was turning brown and summertime was falling down and winter was closing in. Now the warriors of winter, they give a cold, triumphant shout, and all that stays is dying, all that lives is getting out. See the geese in chevron flight, flapping and racing on before the snow. They got the urge for going, and they've got the wings so they can go. They get the urge for going when meadow grass is turning brown and summertime is falling down and winter's closing in. Apply the fire with kindling now and pull the blankets up to my chin. I'll lock the vagrant winter out and I'll hold my wandering in. I'd like to call back summertime and have her stay for just another month or so. But she got the urge for going, so I guess she'll have to go. She got the urge for going when meadow grass is turning brown and all her empire is falling down and winter is closing in. Well, I get the urge for going when meadow grass is turning brown and summertime is falling down.
Before our reading, we will have a brief moment of silence. This is a time to settle into yourselves, to settle into your seats. Maybe take a few deep breaths into your belly if that is comfortable for you. Our reading today comes from Jan Richardson. This is Blessing the Door. She always begins her poems with a reading from Scripture. No eye has seen any God besides you, who works for those who wait for him. From Isaiah chapter 64, verse 4. First, let us say a blessing upon all who have entered here before us. You can see the sign of their passage by a worn place where their hand rested on the door frame as they walked through, the smooth sill of the threshold where they crossed. Press your ear to the door for a moment before you enter, and you will hear their voices murmuring words you cannot quite make out, but know are full of welcome. On the other side, these ones who wait for you, if you do not know that by now, understand what a blessing can do. How it appears like nothing you expected, how it arrives as a visitor, outrageous invitation, child. How it takes the form of angel or dream. How it comes in words like, how can this be? And lifted up the lowly. How it sounds like, in the wilderness, prepare the way. Those who wait for you know how the mark of a true blessing is that it will take you where you did not think to go. Once through this door, there will be more doors, more blessings, more who watch and wait for you. But here at this door of beginning, the blessings cannot be said without you. So lay your palm against the frame that those before you touched. Place your feet where others paused in this entryway. Say the thing that you most need, and the door will open wide. And by this word, the door is blessed. And by this word, the blessing is begun, from which, door by door, all the rest will come.
There was a child named Bernadette. I heard the story long ago. She saw the Queen of Heaven once and kept the vision in her soul. No one believed what she had seen. No one believed what she'd heard, that there were sorrows to be healed, and mercy, mercy in this world. So many hearts I find broke like yours and mine, torn by what we've done and can't undo. Well, I just want to hold you. Come on, let me hold you like Bernadette would do. We've been around, we fall, we fly. We mostly fall, we mostly run. And every now and then we try to mend the damage that we've done. Tonight, I just can't rest. I've got this joy here deep inside my breast, to think that I could not forget the child, the song of Bernadette. So many hearts I find, hearts like yours and mine, torn by what we've done and can't undo. Well, I just wanna hold you. Come on, let me hold you, like Bernadette would do. Well, I just wanna hold you. Won't you let me hold you? Like Bernadette would do.
Maybe it's because we're in the season of Advent, and I've been thinking about Advent calendars with the little flaps, usually doors that reveal something different and new. But I have been thinking about doors. There are Advent calendars for so many things now, almost like you could have a different Advent calendar for every day of Advent and use the whole calendar as its own kind of door to greeting the season. Advent calendars are meant to inspire us to practice patience, wonder, and joy or delight at what waits for us in the season, and to practice these daily. Like all of us, I've moved through many doors in my life. New churches, new work buildings, new offices, new homes, new vets and doctors and mechanics, new stores, new airports, new schools, new cars, moving through rooms and hallways and aisles. I don't know that I've always paid much attention to the doors unless they were particularly striking or memorable. It was always more about what was on the other side of the door, what possibilities, opportunities, or challenges there might be. Working in hospitals, though, moving from room to room, unit to unit, one end to the other, the doors are kind of like those flaps on the Advent calendar. Even when the doors are mostly the same, what waits on the other side is always different. I appreciated the predictability or uniformity of the rooms. I'm sure they're designed that way so that anytime a medical professional is there, they don't have to worry about where things are located, since they should be the same setup throughout the unit. But it also made it easy for me as a chaplain to be able to scan what was there and notice differences. The number of chairs, the cards hung on the wall, the notes from staff or family on the whiteboards, the books or food or instructions or whatever on their trays. Making rounds in a hospital, you might have ideas about what you'd expect based on a patient's chart or what the nurse told you about them, but it was mostly only straightforward what was needed when called to either the NICU or the hospice units. That is, that death is coming or has come. Moving from room to room, this patient with endocarditis, this one with severe sepsis, this one intubated, this one with head and neck cancer, this one with complications from an infection that has impacted organ system function. This week, the patient in this room appreciates your visits. Next week, the patient in this room does not appreciate your visits. Even when I was given some information about a visit I was called to, the picture presented only was ever a fragment. I was called to a patient's room in the neurosurgical ICU once where a family was wrestling with withdrawing life-sustaining measures. The patient had had a stroke that had cut off circulation to his brainstem. I had seen this kind of case before, and there is no recovery from it. The family, though, was facing the fact that this was their 25-year-old son, grandson, and partner, father to one child with another on the way, and they spoke only the most minimal English. We were using the tele-interpreting service for me to offer prayer and what comfort could be had in such a situation, acknowledging the great sadness and loss. They were concerned about the ethics and morality of removing him from life-supportive measures, about what it would mean to their family, about what would happen to him on the other side of death. Chaplaincy, like all other ministries, is a kind of work where having and relying on knowledge is important, but being present is always more so. Like you go in with your tool belt and toolbox, but you don't know what you're going to need until you start working. Sitting with people, listening to them tell their story, or cry, or yell, or curse, or laugh. Praying with them, extending the grace and compassion of God, even if you don't believe in them, so that these people whose eyes you look into may receive some comfort, so that their threshold between what was before that brought them to this moment helps them move to what holds them after this moment. The stories are never the same. To be a spiritual pastoral presence, wonder and curiosity are the skills worth cultivating. Asking questions, advocating for patients and their families, communicating with other staff are all a part of it, but wondering goes a long way. Honestly, it helps smooth things over with even the most fragile of egos, which is a huge plus. I wonder if it would be possible to get the doctor to come back or for someone to go over things now that the patient's family has arrived. I wonder what it's like for you to be going through this right now. I was wondering what resources might be available for the patient to follow up with after this. Sometimes the doors are more metaphorical than actual, more like thresholds of a kind, really. Like as Minnow moved from the kingdom to the through the water, even to the surface, and was able to witness, even from her side of the door, the world in a whole new way. Like the ways our new members have walked through the physical and metaphorical doors of joining this community. As Laura shared last Sunday, this was a new experience for her, especially with Luna at her side. She was seeking something and choosing something. She wonders what is possible here for her daughter, for their family, for this congregation, for the community, for the future. Like the doors on game shows where you have to pick one and see what prize you win, the doors we encounter offer opportunity and possibility. We don't know for sure what these will be exactly. Will it be $500, a washer and dryer, or a new car? Each one presents their own path for moving forward. It's so important when we have these situations to not be invested in the outcome. When I visited with patients, my only hoped for outcome was that they would feel they had been witnessed and cared for. If they wanted resources or additional support, I was happy to provide it and always did my best to make sure that they had what they would need when they left my care. But I could not choose for them what care they sought or how they did their work. As a Unitarian Universalist, this practice of wondering comes naturally in the context of our faith. We are, after all, a seeking people. Seeking is how many of us arrived at this faith. Seeking is what we do while we're here, and seeking sometimes leads some of us away. Wonder, I might offer, is a core value of our faith. Back about 8 years ago, when Twitter was a thing and young and full of hope, not like it's been the last month, and the platform had the strict 140 character limit, some ministers started playing with the idea of 6-word stories and asked people to share their 6-word stories of faith. Robin Slaw offered as hers, love radically, serve gratefully, wonder daily. If these words seem remotely familiar, you've seen them either used on social media as what Unitarian Universalism means, or seen our sign in the front of the church. Although I wrote a few, the one I stuck with, if you are wondering, is, "We're here to build love's house." Wonder is such a core value that the team of people appointed to the Article 2 Study Commission have been commissioned to wonder about re-envisioning Article 2 of the UUA's bylaws. Our current principles and purposes were last revised apart from the momentous tasks of using more inclusive language in 1987. Article 2 includes the covenant of the member congregations of the UUA, commonly referred to as the 7 principles, as well as our 6 sources from which our living tradition draws inspiration. Suggestions about adding an 8th principle and making amendments to the first 7 have been the subject of conversations for more than a decade. The Article 2 Study Commission convened in the fall of 2020 to begin the process of asking wondering questions. An 8th principle has been proposed. How will that fit in? Other religious and faith traditions have been named to be considered in rewording the 6 sources to be more explicit in their inclusion, specifically thinking about Buddhism and Islam, among others. How will our understanding shift? In the 59 years since the merger of the American Unitarian Association and the Universalist Association, how has our understanding of ourselves changed? But the 3-page draft offered for review with Unitarian Universalists throughout our shared faith makes it clear that once that door of wonder was cracked open, eventually the door was swung wide and the questions flooded in, wondering if the current structure could even support the vision of a faith on the move, a faith claiming itself, a faith that calls for liberatory transformation through the power of love. No matter how long the list, would it be enough to exhaustively name everything we value? Would it ever be enough to name every source that brings us inspiration? Our Article 2's study commissioners entered the wardrobe and found themselves suddenly in Narnia. The principles in the draft are replaced by the far more magical words of values and covenant. And if you need me after the service, I will be weeping with joy in the social hall about this change. The UUA board, through their co-moderators in their charge to the commission, named the core value for Unitarian Universalists as love, and around which are also named justice, generosity, evolution, pluralism, equity, and interdependence, each in turn defined and all starting with the beautiful, beautiful phrase, "We covenant too." This draft is not final, although one will be submitted to the UUA board by January of 2023, which is somehow next month, for further review and further discussion at this coming General Assembly, and will continue to be considered until it will be voted on at the 2024 General Assembly. The re-envisioning of Article 2 makes me hopeful for our faith. I think it captures much of what is the best about us, drawing from our heritage while being informed and anchored by what we hope to build in the future. It frees us from the ways we keep ourselves imprisoned and small. It gives the space to inspire us to live into the faith we long for and the world we dream about. If a committee can open doors of wonder like the Article 2 Study Commission did, how might we create doors that are invitations to wonder? What if, instead of delving right in and doing things the way we've always done them, we pause before crossing a threshold, reflecting on the curiosities there may be on the other side when you get there? What if this helps us realize that while the shoe we had may have fit, it wasn't the one we wanted, or helped us put our proverbial best foot forward? Perhaps our wonder will help us to remember our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home.
Hymn number 1008 in this teal hymn book, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. If you feel like standing, please do.
When our heart is in a holy place, heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and place, when our heart is in a holy place. We are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we tell our story from deep within, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
In The Gift of Faith, Jean Harrison Newyer has written, in the lore of ancient China, there's a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue moving forward on this path, this journey called hope with me.
Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the gentle night to you. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of God, of God, the light of the world to you. Deep peace of God to you.
We hope you found meaning in our service today. I know I did. And we close with these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of peace and love. Find ourselves in others. May we carry kindness and compassion in our hearts and out into the world.